Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is that you are tuning in to watch this video. So really, this is part 3 of the EXA campaign. I am an engineer, and really, this is the last part of the campaign. So I really thought I would show my face, because for the previous 2 videos, I've been either sharing my screen. Previously, I did share my screen and a picture of me, but in closing, it's only fair that I show my face. So welcome. Today, really, I'm going to be sharing some insight on 2 aspects: the difference between a supervisor and a mentor, and also just a high-level guide of how to write the application. There's so much to be said about how to write the application, but I'm going to try and share the key points that really should give you a good start in terms of writing that application. So let us talk about a supervisor. So really, ladies and gentlemen, a supervisor is somebody who teaches you something. So let me use an example. I work with power lines. So a supervisor is somebody who could be teaching me about foundations, another supervisor about structures, another supervisor about electrical aspects. So really what a supervisor does, it is somebody who is specialized in a particular activity as part of the full chain of the business. And really what they do is they teach you that thing. So really, it is good for us to understand that a supervisor is somebody who's going to sign off the training and experience report. Rightfully so, because in that particular training report, there would have been the individual who taught you, or really who transferred the skill. So at the time that they're training you, they take full responsibility of the task. So really, a supervisor is somebody who's going to sign off your training and experience report. But in the same breath, let us understand that a supervisor can be a mentor and a supervisor can be a referee. There's so much to be said. So if you've got questions, just drop them below. I will respond to them. Also, I wanted to then iterate and say that a good way to divide, because a lot of candidates ask me, how can I divide my training and experience report? So a good way to divide your report is according to changing mentors. So if you go to a particular department, they give you a particular supervisor. You can write a TR for that particular training. And then what that supervisor does is they're going to sign off that training and experience report. Now let's talk about a mentor. So a mentor is somebody who is supposed to design a program. So the full program that is targeted at achieving the 11 outcomes. So a mentor does not necessarily teach you something. Of course, they can teach you something, but let us understand that a mentor is somebody, it's an umbrella. It's somebody who ensures that each and every task that you do as part of your training targets some outcome. Remember, you are given the first 2 years to build your competence, to be trained, to understand how these 11 outcomes impact engineering holistically. So naturally, what is obvious to see here is that a mentor should be a referee. They are the person who's supposed to read the full report, right? Especially the engineering report, and sign it off. So they don't sign off the engineering report per se, they sign off the referee report. But what they're supposed to do in the referee report, they are going to show the assessor, which is a role player at EXA, which portion of the training were they responsible for. So a good example to use is if you change companies. So obviously you are going to get a new mentor if you change a company. If you work in one company for the duration of your training until you get registered, then we're understanding that this mentor is going to be there for the full duration of your training. Now let's take a scenario where you are working in one company. We are understanding that a supervisor is going to sign off some training and experience report. And we also said a supervisor can also be a referee. But as you can see, a supervisor is only going to referee for that portion that they taught you. So that is the really high level difference between a supervisor and a mentor. And then it is crucial to say that a mentor must be somebody who is registered, because somebody cannot guide you on what registration requirements are if they individually haven't gone through that. While I'm there, let me also share that In terms of referees, there are minimum requirements when you are submitting your application. So if you are a professional engineer, you need to have at least 2 registered professional engineers as a referee. If you are in a technologist, you need 3 referees. If you are a technician, you need 3 referees. Now, this does not mean that if you've had people train you that are not registered, they cannot become referees. Yes, they can. This is just a minimum requirement. So in terms of the, meeting the standard of the International Engineering Alliance, you need to have a minimum of 2 for PRN, a minimum of 3 for technologist and technician. So you can have more than that minimum. It's just that that minimum speaks to people who are registered. These videos are supposed to be less than 10 minutes, so it's difficult to transfer everything. But really, like I was saying, we can discuss below. Now, I just want to touch on tips of how to write the engineering report, more specifically, because that is evidence of your competence. Let me start by saying the application form is made up of predominantly 2 parts: the training and experience report, and then the engineering report. A good way to understand the training and experience report, it is evidence of how you built your competence. The engineering report is evidence of your competence. So in the engineering report, you are telling the reader, why are you saying you are competent? Why are you ready to be professional? Isn't it? Now, the one thing that really traps a lot of candidates is because as engineering professionals, when we go for technical writing, what technical writing says is you never use I, so, you write about a design report because, engineering projects are multidisciplinary. So really it is a team activity if we talk about a project. So really you never say, I did what, But the application form is the only time that you write in first person. So really the application form is about giving evidence, personal evidence. You are supposed to write about your responsibilities and your duties. So really what you're supposed to do in the application form is use I. I learned how to do a tender evaluation on this project 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now, let me just try and see that if I can share 3 really good tips on how to write the application. The first one is first person. You use I. You tell the assessor how you got trained. In the experience, in the engineering report, you tell the assessor why you say you're competent and why you are ready to be trusted as a professional, right? Now, we have just said now TR is evidence of how you got trained. The engineering report is evidence of how what are you competent to do. So we are understanding that everything you write in the application form is past tense. The fact that it is evidence means it's already happened. So you have to write in past tense. What a lot of candidates do is they use things like I will, I was thinking. So you should say it's already happened. So you should report on what had actually happened. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is look, a lot of candidates get registered, for example, after 5 years. Typically, the minimum is 3 years, but we all know that to attain the 11 outcomes typically takes a fair period is about 5 years. So really what you should be doing when you write your application form, I'm trying to say it is not possible to write everything you have done from the day you graduated. So really the target goal here is to give evidence against the 11 outcomes. Yes. So try and filter the work in such a manner that everything you are writing down addresses some outcome. So a lot of candidates struggle with the word count. There is a limit for writing each of these components, and they normally say, I am struggling to keep within maybe 2,000 words or whatever the limitation is. But a good key to use to limit what you write in the report is to limit what you are writing to the 11 outcomes. I hope these 3 tips really help. I'm going to try and summarize them again. Tip number 1, you write in first person. So it's I learned how to do whatever. I am able to do whatever. The second tip is It's evidence of how you got trained, and it's evidence of why you deem yourself competent. So you have to write in past tense. And then the last tip is try and limit the experience to relevant experience, which is experience against the 11 outcomes. Anything that is additional, obviously when you're at work, there'll be a lot of things that you will do that are just generic that you need to learn as part of the profession, but try and just extract the information that is relevant to the 11 outcomes. Before I close off the video, I really wanted to talk about the engineering report, because really the engineering report is evidence of your competence, and what you should be doing there is I always advise candidates to choose their most complex work where they're the responsible person. That is the easiest way to ensure that when you write the evidence, it's going to appeal to the person reading it, or it's going to satisfy the assessor that, yes, indeed, this person is responsible. And really, in closing, I wanted to say, for the core outcomes, you have to be at responsibility level E. So what really this means is that you are fully responsible. You are operating at the level of a registered person. At that point, the only difference is that you are not yet registered. So the term we use in engineering is that you are fully responsible, but you are not accountable. And really what accountable speaks to is signing off. So yes, you can offer solutions that make people's lives better, but until you are professionally registered, you cannot sign off those proposals and solutions that you offer in industry. After you register, now you are accountable, you are able to do these things, you are able to sign them off. And obviously what's coupled to that is, abiding to the code of conduct. I really tried to make this video as short as possible. I hope you will find it really useful, but really there's so much to be said. So what I hope will happen with this video is that you will drop your comments below, and then myself and Exa will be sure to respond to them. I want to say, have a good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is you watch this video. And really for me, I hope it empowered you, and you at least finish this however many minutes it is, feeling that you've learned something new. Thank you so much. Bye.